Good day, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Ben and Jamie's Talking Football Show. Now, today we've got quite a special episode. We got the Liverpool Treble collapse, both in the same week, by the way. Newcastle first trophy in 70 years, and Arsenal unfortunately beating Chelsea, but we don't want to dwell on that one. Let's talk about the Liverpool treble hopes first. How are you, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm not great. We're not going to tease you guys and beat around the bush by talking about the more irrelevant games of the weekend. Let's get straight into what was clearly the biggest game of the weekend. From a neutral, I'm going to ask it. Ben, didn't disappoint. I mean, I was upset, but as a neutral watching it, was it a good game in your opinion?
Yeah, to be fair, Brentford took their win well. What, Bournemouth-Brentford was the biggest game this weekend, weren't it?
Yeah,
that was the biggest game. Nah, jokes aside.
You joke.
But... You know what? Newcastle were... I said I think they were going to win 2-1. And they did come through. I thought Newcastle, because they had lost that 2 years ago, they had that motivation to just go and get it over the line. Eddie Howe, what a job he's done there. You could say what you want about the money, but honestly, what a job he's done. Got them their first trophy in 70 years. 2-1 win. I think Newcastle, you didn't even have a shot on target in the first half, did you? You were...
Not that I can remember. I mean, we only had two in the entire game.
I missed the first half because I was out. But
oh, did you? Well, that was all Newcastle. The first half was utter Newcastle domination. I mean, from a Liverpool point of view, I could say maybe the PSG game in midweek took it out of us a little bit. I mean, you play 120 minutes against one of the best teams in the world, which they are, especially on form, who are very intense and very, very strong. And you go toe-to-toe to them, because we did go toe-to-toe in that second leg, definitely. First leg, we were outplayed, to be honest, but in the second leg, I thought we really went toe-to-toe. And maybe it showed a little bit. I will say I was disappointed with the team selection from the start. I know Gakpo's been injured. Chiesa's not really got the minutes, and Nunes is so 50-50. But the last 3 games, I've watched Nunes, Salah, and Diaz. I've watched Jota, Salah, and Diaz, and Jota, Salah, and Diaz, the 2 PSG ones they were. And Nunes played against Southampton. Now, granted, Southampton is the easier team, but if I was picking between Nunes and Jota, I would say Jota actually has given less over the last, 12 to 14 games probably, than I've seen Nunes given the limited time and opportunities that he's had. I have got frustrated more and more with Jota. There was a very decent chance he had in that first half where he did his best Nicholas Jackson impression and smacked it about 20 yards wide. But, yeah, I don't know. He's a quality finisher generally. He's obviously in a bit of bad form right now in front of goal. I don't think it helped after the PSG games, blanking in both of them, to then go and play in a cup final and blank as well. I try to always look at one positive. I always want to take one away, and I'm glad we got a goal. Chiesa, the moment he came on, was, in my opinion, our best player for the whole 90 minutes, even though he was only on for about 10. He excited me. He treated me nicely. It was nice, a nice little gentle love affair with him, really, where he came on, and I felt like I was almost cheating on the Liverpool attackers that have done it all season. They've been there the whole way through the season, but this time Chiesa coming in out of nowhere and making us all a little bit happy, I think, because, at firstly, his finish as well. Good finish, very well timed run. Harvey Elliott as well, give him his credit. Great pass through, and him coming on as well made a really good impact. The subs were better than the starters. It happens. Curtis Jones as well did all right. But Newcastle, I think, yes, their goals and opportunities did pretty much all come from crosses, realistically. But they deserve to win. Alexander Isak, incredible finisher. And Dan Burn, it won't play like that again. You get certain players who come up for it, don't they? They turn up and play their absolute best. And Dan Burn, he had that sort of game. He was.
You know what? Dan Burns' story is quite actually interesting because obviously I think he grew up as a Newcastle fan, grew up in Newcastle. And then it's one of the biggest reasons that they've now ended their trophy drought.
Yep.
So that is quite a. I mean, Isak, that finish, I can't. Do you know what? Some people give him crap for the chance he missed, the open goal. Some people called it. Do you know where someone squared it across and Kelleher saved it? It went behind him a little bit, but it was.
Oh,
I can't.
that's a bit
Yeah,
harsh
it's
to give
not
him
a.
crap for.
Yeah, it's
Because
not. It's not a
yeah,
sitter.
uh,
It
I
looks
mean,
like a sitter,
he
but
got
I
his
don't
foot to
think
it.
it. Yeah,
A
he
lot of
done really
players
well
doing that would
taking
have
it.
ended up having the ball go between the legs and missing completely, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%.
Um,
Yeah, the Isak finish is very good. Top striker, top level striker as well. Newcastle, just for me, deserved it. I mean, Kieran Trippier, how many times have you heard that this season? Then he just shows up in the final.
yeah.
I haven't heard anything about Trippier all season. And then he just.
Other than the semi-final against Arsenal, where he was very good at Newcastle as well, that second leg, I remember him shutting down the Arsenal attack, and he went and done it pretty much very well again. I mean, look, we can go through the headlines of Salah ghosting once again in a cup final as well, multiple times this season, hasn't quite hit the levels. I think, I mean, look, they were all so bang average at very best, those who started, and it was underwhelming from Liverpool. And Newcastle certainly played their part in showing up and giving it a final, because if Newcastle had turned up like Liverpool did, it would have been one of the worst finals probably in a very, very long time. But yeah, I mean, I don't really have too much more to say on it. Look, I will humbly say congratulations to Newcastle. I'm glad that Arsenal are not the team that won. I actually cannot tell you how glad I am that it was Newcastle over pretty much most other teams. If I'm being honest, the only other team I might actually want to see it win it more out of the top teams who were there would have been actually Spurs. Because, again, going through a bit of a trophy drought and had a hard season. So it would have been nice to see them get a trophy, if not us. I can't complain too much because the result was the right one on the day, in my opinion. McAllister had a nightmare. Not really, in my opinion, coming in from the chat. I don't think he had a nightmare. I think he just... I mean, every time the midfield got the ball, they looked up and went, well, what are my attackers doing? Where are they? Where are they going? What are they doing here? And it was not a great performance. But yeah, Ben, over to you and your team underperforming and playing quite poor. What were your takes on the Chelsea game?
So the thing is, and I'm quite glad, I watched the first 45 and then I'd go out for dinner. So I didn't actually, and I'm glad because I watched the highlights and I'm very glad I wasn't there for the second half because apparently it was a snore fest. But the first 45 we were at, until probably the 37th minute, we were awful. Like just Robert Sanchez, I don't know how he keeps starting at all. Jorgensen, he played well against, I know it's not hard, but Southampton. And then he gets benched for the Conference League. Sanchez has a stinker. Sanchez then starts in the league last week against Southampton, Leicester even. And then he's back in the team against probably the biggest game now we've got left of the season along with Liverpool. And he has not a howler because he did save us, but he definitely... I mean, the goal is poor positioning. You can't... It's another corner. So, corner FC, back at it. Typical. Yeah. But they deserved it. On another day, that could have been 2-3-0 Arsenal. We were awful. I don't think they were great. I don't think they left second gear. But the only person I'd probably say could leave their head with maybe their head high is Caicedo. Again, I think the rest of the team was really poor. I mean, Fofana, and this is something that's came up this morning, the abuse he's been getting this morning is I know it happens to... It's not just Arsenal fans, but the racism that's... we've put out a statement this morning about it all.
I heard about this, yeah.
But, yeah, it's how there's still, after everything that's with the need stand and all these other... how there's still racism in the game, I don't know. And it's not just Arsenal fans. It's not. It's a minority of every single fan base, and that's the reality. But it's sick. And Fofana, a lot of people say he could have got a red card. Partey could have got a red card. I think it works both ways. But yeah, just poor game. Raya nearly had a stinker.
Oh my god, yeah. It does make me laugh. This is what I mean, because you look at player ratings and Raya. I mean, I don't know how much he really had to do in the game. Not masses from what I understand, but the one thing he really did have to do, he almost absolutely had a howler. And
yeah,
I'll give you a funny little thing to say. On Footmob, Raya was given man of the match.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Which is absolutely outrageous. And this is why stats doesn't tell you everything in football. So
no.
There is such a thing as the eye test. Speaking of eye tests, what do defensive goalkeeper coaches, like not defensive goalkeeper, defensive set piece coaches do? Like, you look at these corners that Arsenal put in and all these things, but number one rule growing up for everyone has always been have someone on the front post and a back post. I've always believed it. Always thought, that's what you should do. And I know there's all these, if we put this person here and put that person there. I mean, Liverpool conceded from a corner as well because Alexis McAllister was marking Dan Burn. Your camera's gone. But in that game as well, Dan Burn's header ended up at the front post or of the corner. Now, granted, I think our team might have been slightly clearing out, considering it was a back post corner delivered to the deep part of the box. But if a man is standing on the post in both the Liverpool game and the Chelsea game, well, there's no goal. Either way, it stays 0-0 in both games. And I cannot understand why any team just keeps refusing to put these players on the post. And so, let's just have this extra man in the back of the box marking someone who's not really going to be getting near it rather than standing on the back post. I mean, look, you can say what you want about Sanchez's goalkeeping positioning, but it did loop over him at the end of the day. And if Reece James is there, I guarantee he clears it off the line. Yeah.
Well, after what he'd done against Liverpool 2 years ago, you never know now.
But
he hits it onto his hand.
But there is that, but there's the other side of it and everything like that. But personally, I just think, come on, let's stop being silly now. Let's get the people on the posts and actually defend properly from corners. I don't mind zonal, but one of them zones should be the front and back post. Simple as. There were other games that went on the weekend, believe it or not. We didn't just have two games. Not all of them the most interesting, unfortunately. On Saturday, we'll give a quick run through the fixtures. We had West Ham and Everton, a 1-1 draw. I think we both said Everton would win that. So
I don't remember.
I
thought
just you see Everton at home, you think they might do it, but who cares? Respectfully, a 1-1 draw, Everton, West Ham, maybe that is a bit on the cards. Forest dispatched the Ipswich quite easy. I know they had a little bit of a late scare, but it was way too late for anything to be the case. And 4 goals, and they absolutely went through them and smashed through them, and are still now looking even better in their positioning because Manchester City and Chelsea, who are below them, and Brighton technically as well, all dropping points, which has left Forest now a big 5 points clear of 4th place, 6 points clear of 5th place with 9 games to go. Do you think they're going to do it?
The thing with Forest as well is a lot of the hard games they've luckily got at home. So you look at, I know it's not a hard game now, but United, they got at home. Everton, they've got at home. Even Brentford, they've got at home. Then Chelsea. Like, a lot of their away games are very nice away games instead of having to go to like Anfield or the Emirates or... I mean, Villa Park's a hard place to go, but that's probably their hardest game left. If we're fair.
Well, you've just named, 5 or 6 fixtures, and the only one that I think they might drop points in there is Aston Villa. But then Aston Villa aren't having a great season, and depending on when that game falls, I'm not entirely certain, but you might have the Champions League around it.
5th of April, so probably...
So, it's going to have the Champions League next to it, and, it'd be a great time for them to, get involved and have a go at Villa because they will be focused on that game. And I can say firsthand from experience, that is going to take the wind out of them in terms of effort and energy that they're going to have to put in. That's it's looking good for Forest, and I'm glad. I'd love to see them get into the Champions League, get that funding. B, more importantly, next season get top 10. At least don't get relegated, and get what is hopefully going to be a good season behind them in the Champions League. If they got through the group stages, money coming in, a big club back, re-established. It's almost like a revival, isn't it? They've really had, which would be nice to see. We touched on Man City. That was probably, in my opinion, it was the best game to watch on Saturday. And I don't think it disappointed. From obviously it's 3:00 off, so we couldn't watch it live, but the highlights certainly it looked like it was a ferocious end-to-end game. Really good, entertaining match. What do you think, then?
City. So I know I said City should have demolished them. I actually thought City were lucky to get away with it, like really lucky. I think Forest could have taken it. Not Forest, Brighton. Sorry, I don't like mentioning Brighton after this season, so it's a team that I forget. But Brighton could have easily took it. Haaland back on the goals, but it was a penalty, so I don't know. City still look like they're a gear down. I think they'll probably get away with getting Champions League because of the teams around them have been not the best. I mean, it's not really. I know it's the most competitive Champions League battle, but it's probably not the best where you're going to have the most points tally. I mean, it's normally about 65, and we're fourth is 20 points with 9 games left, so it's not, and we will drop 9 points. So I don't think it'll be a good end to the season for a neutral.
It should be. I mean, the one fear is for everyone that City just put their foot down right and start blasting through everyone, which could happen. But in my opinion, it doesn't look that likely. And every week that goes on, the more we see this Man City side that we know have been so good for so long, just not quite doing what we're used to. I will say though, Marmoush, was good, wasn't he? He was good. I mean, I watched him play against Liverpool and thought, that was the first time I sat and actually watched him for 90 minutes, and I thought, wow, he is good. He's dangerous. He's scary. He can finish.
I want to touch on one thing quickly. Mm-hmm. I don't get what Pep does with De Bruyne and Foden. Considering I know De Bruyne is not like the best now, but I don't know whether it's just something that maybe because he's leaving, he doesn't want him playing. But I still think De Bruyne can, if you give him the chance, pick out a pass out of something and get Haaland a goal. And I don't get the reasoning of leaving on the bench till the 87th minute. I think, in my opinion, say Foden as well, 76th. That's their player of the season last year.
But Foden's a harder one. I think Rodri being missing, it's almost like there's no one to pick up the slack on what De Bruyne may not run anymore. And Pep's team, they're expected to have the ball a lot, but if they don't have the ball, do a lot of running to get back. And I just don't think that De Bruyne has offered that this season enough. And to be honest, his final ball and end product hasn't quite been there either this year. Look, he's at the end of what has been an absolutely incredible Premier League career, in my opinion. Could go Saudi? Absolutely. Who knows? He's free to do whatever he wants. Man City fans, let us know in the comments. Do you see any bad blood with him? I can't imagine there would be any.
No.
Even if you're disappointed at his performances this year, you probably just go, yeah, but look what he's done for the last 6-7 years, however long it has been. You can't complain. Phil Foden, on the other hand, I do understand where you're coming from. Savinho and Doku don't provide.
Doku again. I mean, he's just such a weird player. They're
brilliant to watch. They're great to watch, but they don't provide the end product that's needed to win a title, for example, or in this case, even get into a Champions League space. Will they in a couple of seasons? Maybe. Pep, if he does stay, Man City's charges don't do anything detrimental to them. Yep. They could turn into some very good players because they can develop. But Pep and wingers, Sometimes he gets the best out of them. Sometimes they just drop off. Look at Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
And that could be the case with Savinho.
Yeah.
It could be the case with Foden. You know, with Marmoush playing centrally, clearly preferred to Foden. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, for me, I go back to Marmoush. He is that bright light that they've got at the end of their tunnel right now, I think. And next season, if they poise themselves back with Rodri, get the team sorted, maybe one. I don't think Kushinov's the answer personally. Get another centre-back, proper, solid, young centre-back in. Someone who is a world beater, and City will be right back there. I think they've still got the foundations. It is almost like having a new signing when that player returns from their ACL injuries. Yeah. I felt it with Van Dijk, having not had him for a whole year. And then when he came back, I went, oh my God, it's like we've re-signed someone that's saved in our day again, because it's night and day. And yeah, I think from a Man City point of view, it's not the end of the world. One bad season, you'll get over it. You know, they're still in the FA Cup. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget they are still in the FA Cup. Rodri could still come back and do an excellent job for them and play. I don't know what his schedule is now when he's expected to return. But if it is for the Cup games, then I'm seeing, what am I seeing? Early July. So
yeah, early July, it's not. That might be the end of the Club World Cup.
Yeah. I mean, it could get an advancement on that, and it could be the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'd even risk him if they were there.
Yeah, I don't, especially with the new season with the Club World Cup. I don't think he'll even travel to a Club World Cup. Or if he does, he'll play a few games. I don't see him playing 90 minutes every game. Because the ACL is so touch. If you bring them back too early, you could so many complications on it, especially injuries. I mean, we're seeing it with Saka a little bit now. He was meant to be out 2 months, and now he's been at 3.5, 4. Yeah. So I don't think Arsenal will risk Saka now either. I think both teams just need to secure what they need to secure, and then just end the season. If you want to bring him back, but don't start him 90 minutes like Arsenal have all for the last 4.5 years or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. These players, they go through a lot. And yes, they get paid a lot for it, but their muscles and their injuries, they do come back. And muscle injuries especially, as soon as you get them, it's like the plague. It can just keep hitting you over and over again. And you just got to hope that you are that kind of player that keeps getting repetitively injured. And you can shake them. Southampton lost to Wolves. What a shock. No one saw that coming, did they? Yeah. I mean, it was one of the most fiercely contested games of the season. Southampton battling to survive. No, obviously, they're done. And it's 9 games left. They can get 27 points. So Wolves have still got to get a few more wins before Southampton are officially relegated. But it's coming. Everyone knows it's going to happen. And I just wonder, do you remember when West Brom got relegated? And they, towards the end of the season, got that new caretaker manager in and went on a random resurgence. I think they beat Man United and a couple other teams. They might, in one season, I think it might even be the same season they beat Liverpool. Southampton need a run like that to save themselves from being the worst team ever in Premier League history. And I don't see it coming.
I mean, the points tally is 11, isn't it? So they need one win. Which I don't think, honestly, with the games they have, I mean, Palace.
They have to do it by draws. They have to play for draws.
Leicester is honestly their best hope.
Yeah, there is a chance against Leicester, but they are away for that one.
It wouldn't honestly shock me at this point if they somehow lose to Leicester and then go and beat Man City. Or Arsenal on the last day.
That would make me laugh. But Arsenal lose to them on the last day to, even Arsenal, only Arsenal could bottle making Southampton have the worst point record.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I mean, that's what they get for keeping, was it Russell Martin? Why they kept him in for so long? I don't know. That's on them. Terrible decision by the board. Maybe they didn't have the finances to sack him. I don't know. But yeah, they'll be gone very soon, officially.
Yeah.
Brentford Bournemouth, you joked, said it was game of the weekend. The massive game I was looking forward to. I was actually looking at it. Bournemouth's recent drop-off in form, I have to say, is not surprising in terms of I do think one of the teams that was overperforming massively, so your Brighton, your Fulham, your Forest, your Bournemouth, even your Brentford to an extent, were going to drop off. It was not possible for all of them to stay as strong as they were, but 1 point in the last 12 points available is not great. They've really let themselves down for that European race. And I think their season now comes down to the FA Cup as well, which is dangerous game, but they could certainly come through and have a decent go at it. We'll just have to wait and see. Other than that, there wasn't much more to really focus on. Leicester losing to Man U, shock.
Hoyland, finally ended that goal drought.
Yeah, and then Fulham. I mean, Tottenham, in my opinion, and Dermot McGallagher said it today, should have had a penalty. It was either 1-0 or 0-0, I'm not sure. Massive game-changing moment, though. Bergvaul's nicked in, kicked the ball away, and had his foot blocked off and fouled. And it's a penalty. Changes the course of the game. Listen to me, Tottenham fans, and listen here. Football has one thing in it, and it is karma. It's a different kind of karma where you may have some really shit results and bad luck, and it just keeps coming. It comes in the form of injuries, refereeing decisions, and stuff like that. Tottenham Hotspur have maybe gathered all of that bad luck this season, and it will come good for them at some point, I think, in the next season or whenever, maybe in the Europa League. They will get their luck that come back round to them. You'll be saying, finally, we've got a decision in our favour. Finally, our players are back fit and available. I mean, in that game, he subbed off Romero because he didn't want him to play for any more injuries. Put Archie going to centre back, and they went and lost 2-0 after that. But Romero's not injured at the end of the day, and Tottenham, you've only got one focus: Europa League. So you're not.
It was quite interesting actually, because at the end of the game, Matthias Tell jumped into the Spurs end and was having a little conversation with some Spurs fans, and Ange just watched him. This is a 19-year-old that came over from Bayern Munich on a loan deal, is speaking up for the whole Spurs team, who have literal James Maddison. I know Kulusevski's injured at the moment, but Romero, Ben Davies. I mean, there's literally experienced players there, and you're getting a 19-year-old just jump up there. Ange's response, I mean, he said it in a press conference yesterday, or I think to a fan, and I think someone said, "What was that?" And then he replied something like, "Oh, respect your elders, respect us. We're managers. You're not." All this, like, he bites way too easy. And I think that I wouldn't be surprised if, honestly, if we go to him in 2 weeks or whenever we do and we win, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone. I think, I know it's harsh, but I think Daniel Levy's never, or whatever, however you say it, has never really, something like this, a Chelsea game, is where they need to turn up. It's going to be a hard game for him coming to Stamford Bridge, 8 o'clock kickoff on a Thursday. But I think, honestly, if he struggles there, I think they'll either give him that Southampton and Frankfurt game, or he'll be gone before the Southampton game, in my opinion.
Well, I think he may even walk at the end of the season. You never know.
Yeah. I can't see him going past this season. I think there's a whole thing about if Iriola or Ryan Mason might be signing or something.
I mean, look, listen, grass is always greener on the other side. Yes, they've had injuries. Yes, they've underperformed. If he wasn't in the Europa League, he would be gone. I have zero doubt in my mind that Ange Postecoglou would be staying at the club if he had nothing to play for at this stage. I don't think it will ride on the Chelsea game for that exact same fact. I think Daniel Levy is very money conscious, very, very clever owner. Who knows not to waste money. And I imagine there could be something in it where once he gets to the end of this season, if he gets rid of Ange, he probably has to pay him out quite a substantial amount less. I wouldn't even be surprised. Ange, famous words, I always win a trophy in my second season. maybe his stake's something on it. You never know. But he has been poor. He doesn't deserve, in my opinion, the opportunity to prove himself. But at what stage, or what have they got that's better out there right now? If they were to get rid of him, to bring him for the rest of the season, there isn't. So have faith in your manager for this period of time. But if you go out of the cup, you just sack him and get your new manager in or whatever. Get your assistant manager or whoever, your caretaker, that's the one, and wait and plan out for next season. That's the most simple thing to do.
It's really weird, as even though he's a Spurs manager, I actually really like him.
Well, I think everyone likes him because he cuts through the bullshit, doesn't he? And I think that's what a lot of people look for. I mean, look, I like him. I know other people that like him. Arne Slot, I think he cuts through and it's just straight to the point. And I don't know what your opinion was him, but he accepted his part in the Liverpool loss and accepted that Newcastle deserved to win it. And other managers on, I love Klopp, but my God, that man could throw an excuse out like there was no tomorrow. And he might have found it. I guarantee he would have spoke a lot more about the schedule, having to play games and all this stuff than Arne Slot has mentioned. And yeah, look, this break, we need it so bad. I think a lot of teams need it. Yeah. And I think it almost feels like it's 2 weeks too late. It's interesting because I've seen many, many clubs come and say, thank God this is here, which hasn't really happened before an international break. I don't see a single club saying, no, we wanted to continue playing, which is interesting. And yeah, I mean, look, we'll have to see what happens after the international break. But yeah, I think in terms of talking points, that's it. We were going to open up the show if anyone did want to come on and ask us any questions.
I think Xavier might be the only.
Yeah. If you want to come in and ask a question, just send a request onto the Big Up stage and we will get you in to ask it. But yeah, we'll leave it there for the moment. As of the podcast, I think we'll call it. But have a great night, everyone, and or day, even because this goes out in the morning. And see you all at some point. I don't know when we'll do our next podcast because there is the international break. We might take a little break. It could be Monday. It could be Friday. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll go from there. International breaks suck for that reason. If we do wait till Monday, we'll have a little bit of a talking point of an England game and another England game coming up. So
yeah,
the latest it will be Monday. But yeah, everyone have a wonderful week and yeah, goodbye.
Peace.